Well, thanks again to Kurt and to Jim Patton, the project champion on this specific project. As Kurt mentioned, we just finalized last Friday was the last day of the project. So we are finalizing the report and to send it to BTI. So this is the project overview. I mean, the main goal of this research is to improve the border crossing and wait time measurement systems and analyze emerging technologies to strengthen this system that has been in place for over 15 years now. And this will provide accurate border crossing times for commercial and private loan vehicles to CBP and all the stakeholders. The project itself includes 5 different objectives, and it was actually, regarding technology, but also some operation and maintenance of the existing systems at New Mexico, Arizona, and finalize installation at Otay Mesa, which is a land border crossing in California. So here you can see the 5 objectives. I'll go through each of them in details and the achievements of each of these objectives, and then we can have a discussion. So again, the goal is to improve the border crossing wait time, and the knowledge gap is to use emerging technologies to improve these border wait time measurement systems and provide reliable and consistent information to CBP, as well as to other stakeholders from private sector as well as public sector. In terms of the first objective, which is the O&M of the border crossing system, is to, again, ensure that the system was operating. So what we have done so far is to prepare these, what you see on the right-hand side of the slide. It's a monthly report, in this case for the Mariposa Port of Entry in Nogales. And it has, different statistical information of that particular port of entry. For example, you have a calendar with the average crossing time in each of the days of the month. Then you have a graph that shows, day of the week and also hours of the day. And then finally, at the bottom, you see the comparison within that month to the previous one. And we have 2 statistical data elements there. One is the average crossing time, and also the 95th percentile, which is basically, how long it will take for 95% of the trucks on that particular crossing. So again, this is a monthly report. On objective number 2, the approach was to finalize the installation of the RFID equipment at this particular crossing. The system comprises 4 different stations of reading, 2 in Mexico and 2 in the US side of the border. And the RFID basically, the RFID reader reads the tags that most of the trucks have in the crossing process, and then we can estimate the time between each of the 2 readers that are, next to each other. So here are the specific tasks that we performed during this particular objective. It was actually important to note that the whole team was working diligently in coordinating with the Mexican authorities to perform the installation at the Mexican side of the border. Especially, there was several changes in administration in Mexico during the course of the project. So that took a little bit longer than expected. But unfortunately, we were able to finalize this on time. In terms of the objective number 3, which is improvements to the POV. POV stands for privately owned vehicles. So basically, these are the passenger vehicles that cross the border into the U.S. from Mexico. And the main objective is to improve the system, because right now the system uses Bluetooth technology, and we cannot differentiate between the different types of traffic for POVs, which includes sentry, ready, and regular. So these are the tasks that we performed during the whole objective. Lead review basically tried to identify if anything has been done. Then we did a detailed analysis of the findings. Then we developed this prototype to enhance the border wait time system, and we did some testing at the College Station during the pandemic, and we finalized a report. On number 4, we analyzed different technologies, and we came up with basically the three finalists are GPS, blockchain, and connected vehicle. And the one that has the most important or has the most future for border weight and measurements is GPS. So we developed a hybrid system, which is basically a combination of RFID, Bluetooth, and GPS. We presented a paper for the Transportation Research Board annual meeting 2020. And then also we presented recently in March the findings at Port of the Future conference. And then the final objective is the overhaul of the system. As I mentioned earlier, this system was developed like 15 years ago. Basically, we honestly didn't think it was going to be expanded as much as it's doing now. Now we have 10 truck crossings in the system and 3 POV crossings. So there's a lot of data. So it was time to revamp the system, to overhaul it. And we came up with the idea of using cloud-based environment, Azure, and we upgraded also the website itself. So I'll show you some of the results of this particular task. The results or the achievements of this project. The 2 crossings in Santa Teresa and Nogales are operational. As I mentioned, we work with Mexican and U.S. authorities to, either, for example, on the right-hand side is the Nogales Mariposa port of entry. We added a reader to be able to measure the fast lane. That's why I was asking in the previous presentation about the fast lane. In this case, Nogales has 1 fast lane, and we were able now to measure regular and fast crossing times for trucks at this particular crossing. We also discovered that all RFID readers were not reading all the tags. And that's because CBP recently changed the technology, now has this decal and transponder online procurement system, a new tag, which is DTOPS. So we identified that problem out of Time Mesa and came up with a solution. Basically, we need to refurbish all the readers to have a multi-protocol so they can read multiple tags at each of the crossings. So we coordinated with Transcore, who is the developer and the manufacturer of the readers and the antennas. This is the Otay Mesa. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but here is Mexico, and here's what we call R1. So it's the quote-unquote end of the queue. So we installed a reader bank there. Then here's the Mexican Customs export lot. And then we identified that there was another entrance for the UCP, Unified Cargo Processing. So these trucks here don't really use the corridor, so we had to install another set of readers here. So we install R1, what we call R2 at the Mexican export lot, then R2A, which is the secondary entrance. R3, these readers were installed during the previous project, so in this particular objective, we only refurbished those ones. We basically swapped them 2 weeks ago with the new multi-protocol ones. And finally, we also installed a reader at the California Highway Patrol vehicle inspection station, which is the end of the process. Trucks basically come in from Mexico, go through Mexican export inspection, go to CBP primary, and then basically some of them are sent to secondary, but then they go out and they go to the highway patrol, and then they leave to their destination. So we were able to install readers throughout the process. And interesting, this particular crossing compared to other ones, it has a one lane which is for empty only, and this is the one closest to the border. So we were able to also measure empty and UCP also from R2A. Here's just some photos of the installation that we have in Tijuana. This is R1, the one I mentioned. This is R2A, and this is basically the Mexican export. On objective number 3, which is basically the improvements, as I mentioned, we came up with different technologies, and we came up with this prototype, which is basically, in this case, it's for POVs, for privately owned vehicles. And we have a toll booth in Mexico, especially in Texas. All the bridges have a toll booth. So our idea is to use use different technologies in each of the segments. So for example, in this segment, we're proposing to use GPS data, because here we don't need to differentiate between any lane. Basically, we just need the travel time. Here we can use the Bluetooth, where we can read the MAC ID and also put a timestamp at the toll booth. Then there's a bridge in Texas, so you can cross. And then here we can have also the MAC ID to be able to match between B to C, the trip B to C. And also we can use GPS to be able to come up with the with the travel time to make sure. An important thing also is this device here, which is an ALPR, automatic license plate reader, which basically identifies in which lane that particular vehicle is circulating. And here's the test that we performed at the Rallis campus in Bryan, Texas. We did very extensive testing of the license plate readers. And the main reason is because even though they're used, for example, for tolling, throughout the country, in this environment at the border, the vehicles are very close to each other. So they're very close to each other, and we were, the main question was if we can read enough tags to be able, enough license plates to be able to come up with a good estimate of travel times and specific lane configuration. And the test was very successful. On objective number 4, as I mentioned earlier, we came up with this hybrid border wait time measurement system, which is using different technologies to be able to come up with a more accurate, easier to operate and to maintain system. So here are the benefits, and then basically, these are the benefits. Again, we can have secondary sources to fill the data gaps that we will have. We can disaggregate by fast and regular traffic because we already have the RFID tags. This will reduce, as I mentioned, the cost of the operation, maintenance, and installation, which is, again, as I mentioned earlier, very time-consuming and difficult to coordinate because there's multiple stakeholders that participate in the process. And again, it will simplify future installations. The final objective was the overhaul of the system. As I mentioned, Swapnil Somant at our El Paso office, was the lead on that particular task, and he basically defined the new system using the cloud-based database, the Azure environment. And that provides different advantages. Now we can have a specific system for each of the crossings. We can have a faster way to query the data. In the past, the old system was in a server, and it was difficult to query, especially with the amount of data that we have. And here's the new border crossing information system that is based on the cloud. We have a table showing the fast and non-fast crossing and wait times. We have also the detail on, the detail real-time information on this particular crossing with a color coding, like you can see on your phone, and basically, yeah, we're finalizing this website, but it's operational. In terms of findings, the benefits are Otay Mesa is operational, which is good. We just need to do a ground truth test that Jim Patton requested, so we're working on that as we speak. And CBP will have automated border wait times now for 98% of the trucks entering into the US. So we have 10 truck crossings already with the system implemented. We're working with the Texas Department of Transportation on a different project to install another 5 crossings in the near future. With the overhaul of the system in the cloud server, again, we provide information more efficiently and the queries can be done faster, as I mentioned already. In terms of new technologies, again, POV wait times could be measured segregating regular, sentry, and ready vehicles with the system that we are proposing. And the hybrid system will increase the system reliability and reduce the costs of the installation and the operation and maintenance of the border wait time system. These are the milestones that we achieved. Basically, we were able to finish all of them, complete all of them on time. Well, not on time, because again, we were delayed due to different circumstances, but again, it was accomplished as required by the project. And these are the deliverables. In Objective 1, again, we have these monthly reports that I show you. On Objective number 2, we did a penetration report and at Otay Mesa and the installation report, and again, it's finalized in all the sites that I mentioned. The Bluetooth analysis, basically this is a POV. We presented our report. The technology, we had this white paper that we presented at the RB, and also we did a presentation at the Port of the Future conference in March. And finally, the Objective 5 was the overhaul of the system. We were able to finalize it last week. So this is the impacts. Again, cloud-based system is more efficient and can handle future growth. Again, there's more crossings on the pipeline, so we'll have more data. The good news about the data is, again, it's archived, so you can go back and see, okay, give me the wait times for last year, for last month, for last week, and also you have real-time information. In terms of the hybrid border wait time measurement system, we have the system will reduce implementation and operation costs. And it will be more accurate, to be able to provide border wait time and crossing times for both POVs as well as trucks. And and the GPS data source, we have continued investigating. There's more and more data coming from GPS providers. These providers are aggregating data from many different sources, and they are providing it. We use HERE, which is a company, HERE data, and we continue to receive feeds from that information, and also that will be really important to have in the future, because obviously there's no infrastructure on the ground, so it's easier, cheaper, and more accurate. And again, this is the research team. I would like to thank all the members of the team. It was a very challenging project given the circumstances, but we were able to finish with the results that were expected.